Morning on ITV. I am Marcelina Unkwo, reaching you live from our Lagos Network studio. Of course, I'm not alone anchoring this program. I have Patricia Gabriels. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mercy. I am Patricia Uremo Gabriels, reaching you live from our Lagos Network studio. All
right, our guest here today that would be helping us analyze our topic for today is Mr. AGBOOLA ODUNFA. He is a political affairs analyst. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mercy, and good morning, Justina. Good morning, viewers.
Patricia.
Oh, Patricia.
Yes. Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Mr. AGBOOLA. All right, today is the World Value Day. Today, being the 16th of October, is the World Value Day, where we have to raise awareness about the importance of values in our personal lives, communities, and society at large. You know, a day for individuals, organizations, and nations to reflect on the core values that guide their actions, such as integrity, respect, compassion, equality, and responsibility. You know, there is a poor value in our society today, and we know that, which is dishonesty, corruption, selfishness and greed, lack of empathy, intolerance and discrimination, and also irresponsibility has been a major problem we've been facing as individuals. And today, being the World Value Day, is for us to raise awareness about the importance of value in our personal lives. And also, we would be talking about the reforms and impact on poor citizen reviews of IMF criticism. You know, the IMF, they've criticized that poverty and food insecurity is still very high despite the reforms, that is the removal of fuel subsidy, FX unifications, and poverty and food insecurity is still one big major problem in the country. All right, Patricia.
Mercy, you've done it all well, but I'm going to start by saying Happy Values Day to Mr. AGBOOLA, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Happy Value Day to you.
Yes. Okay, it's a day for us to reflect on what is important to us and how the values are put to actions. So I'm just going to go and be straight to you, Mr. AGBOOLA. Let me quickly ask you, how can people participate on this day? You know, it's not a common day like you have the Children's Day and every other day. You know, so I'm sure a lot of people don't know today is the day for the Value Day.
Yeah.
So how do you think people can participate on this day?
Thank you once again. By participating, it is important that parents, start by, letting children know their value. You catch them young. You teach them how to discover their value, how to nurture it, how to master it. So that when they grow, because it is difficult nowadays for you to enforce value on people, except it is influenced. And most especially, like Mercy mentioned, people, value the negative side of themselves, which leads to corruption.
Yeah.
So government also should, embark on valuing the lives and property of citizens, value families, and then, put value, let citizens, realize and enjoy their values.
Okay.
It's important.
Thank you so much, Mr. AGBOOLA. At this point, do you think leadership in politics, business, or education has failed in promoting strong values?
They have failed in promoting, I believe so. Because, what value do you preach? What value do you represent if you are corrupt or your associate is corrupt and you cannot, stop that corrupt person or prosecute the person or reprimand the person? What value do you promote if you have corrupt persons as friends or as associates? If you have corrupt person as your staff or member of cabinet, It's not encouraging the masses. It's not encouraging the people. It's not encouraging the future leaders, because what is seen as is that negative is the actual core value that we need to emulate, and it's quite disheartening.
Thank you for that. Let's talk about the IMF criticism. Nigeria's economy reforms guided by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, have sparked intense debates regarding their impact on poor citizens. Nigerian government reforms, that is the removal of fuel subsidy, I said that earlier, that led to the sharp, it has actually led to the sharp rise in transportation, food prices. Let's talk about exchange rate unification, naira devaluation, costs, import-driven inflation, tax fiscal reforms. Okay, and VAT enforcement and all of that. Would you say these reforms were necessary at this point in Nigeria's economic cycle?
It is necessary, but not at this point. Because what are they trying to, what is the government trying to achieve? To block leakages. The first step is to block the actual leakages, which is the corruption within the officials. Let's start with removal of fuel subsidy.
Yeah.
Why was it removed? Because the expense, what government pay in subsidies is alarming. Goes into trillions, which is enough to build infrastructures, you know, for several states. Now, have you tried to ensure that you put NNPC, you review NNPC? Have you tried to ensure that they are correct with their datas of the volume of fuel that is being imported, to account for the amount of subsidies paid to these acclaimed importers? Have you actually brought to book those that are collecting subsidies for fuels that they did not import, for, you know, double the amount of fuel they claim they import? That is important.
Okay.
Now, if you go to taxes, what are they doing with the taxes? Tax collected in the past. The idea of government is to generate revenue, build infrastructure, and ensure there is security in the country. We do not see that. What I expect this government to do is to first tackle corruption, tackle the actual leakages. The leakages is not actually government spending. The leakages is where this money is going. You put money in ministries to build roads, we cannot see the road. You put money in ministries to education, to educate. Even the officials cannot put their students in these schools.
Exactly. And
then you put money, you allocate money for healthcare. We can't go to the hospital. Poor man cannot afford to be sick.
Okay, AGBOOLA, thank you. Having said that, you know, so IMF came up very recently to criticize. So do you think the role of the IMF criticism is justified?
It is justified, but they are also complicit.
Okay.
Now, this is not the first time we've had these problems. You know, IMF gives loans with conditions, and the government implement these conditions. Who are actually the people bearing the brunt? It is the people. Now, if you take away subsidy and fuel is expensive, fewer people are expected to drive. And then the transportation system must be effective. It must be 24 hours.
Exactly.
Even if it is not cheap, but it must be effective, because I would rather take transport and pay 2,000 rather than put 20,000 naira fuel in my car and drive, because this is what is obtainable in developed countries, and these are the policies that are borrowed from these countries. Why can't we also implement the welfare? The government is just not sincere enough.
Latest October 2025, Mr. AGBOOLA, review, IMF's position, the praise Nigerians bold's reforms will stabilize the economic long term. And now they are criticizing Nigeria. Criticism, reforms are poorly sequenced, social protection is weak according to them, and poverty may deepen without urgent action. That is, if they don't take urgent action, that the poverty may deepen. And IMF called for targeted cash transfer, better data. IMF, what they're asking now is give us better data. They're also calling for cash transfer and less reliances on regressive taxes. Okay, now, do you think these economic reforms has led to sustainable economic growth? Has this growth translated into improved living standard for poor Nigerians?
The reform is making poor people poorer.
Wow.
It has even eradicated the middle class. It's either you are poor or you're rich. And the safety nets, which include cash transfers.
Yes.
I'm sure you read in the news recently that the lawyer took the government to court, because I don't know if either of you get any of the transfers, the cash transfer. So the lawyer took the government to court that, okay, give us the data of the 8 million people you claimed you transfer cash to, but they couldn't. If you ask across Nigerians, how many people actually receive these monies? Let's even assume some people receive money. It is Almanjiri way of governance. It is very, very wrong. There are communities, there are towns, there are villages that are disconnected from the city. Build roads there. These people have agricultural produce. They have farmland. They cannot take their produce to the city to sell. They cannot transfer. They cannot even afford transporting their produce to the city. It makes them poorer because the products are left there to rot away. How many can they eat? Even those that can do that can't go to their farms because of insecurity.
Patricia,
what is the protection for these people?
Yeah, this has always been the people's complaint, Nigerians' complaint, saying that the government will come out to say a particular thing. Do they implement it? Not just coming out or putting it on papers and reading it out to Nigerians that, okay, we are going to do this.
But that's not the reality.
We are going to do this and we are going to do that. But they don't implement this law.
That's not the reality of what is going on in the country.
Exactly.
Okay, so AGBOOLA, having said what you said, you have just responded to the question I was going to ask you, which says, has this reform changed the daily lives of the low-income citizens? You have responded to that. So I haven't responded to that. Let's move on to what were the main objectives behind the recent economic reforms? Because the government must have an objective to have these reforms put in place. So what were the main objectives? Are they following those objectives?
Well, we know the current president. He loves to generate revenues. From the time when he was Lagos State governor, he increased the revenue of the state, proportionately, and that is the same thing is implying as president. But like you asked, it is just to generate more funds, more income for the government, and be able to do infrastructure, allegedly. It has increased allocation to states. It has increased allocation to local government, which should be the succor of the people. But what we have seen at the end of the day is local government chairman, buying houses, increasing the fleet of their cars, marrying more wives, sending their wives to learn how to implement governance in their local government. We've seen governors, amassing funds for 2027 election, which negates the promises the government gave us. In a sane society, we should have, at this point, seen smooth roads. Transportation system that connects the country. either by ferries, by train, buses, you know, and the CNG buses that they claim they have implemented is only few. It's not seen in all the places.
So what you are eventually telling us now is that the fuel subsidy remover, the money that they removed from fuel subsidy, has not been redirected effectively.
It has just gone to Owambe. You know, it is chop by chop, and nobody is accusing, is jailing anybody. You know, you hear EFCC is probing a particular former governor.
Excuse me, I thought you were going to say Patricia there.
Sorry, particular former governor. And then what we'll see is a fashion parade in the courts. And the next thing, the person is let off the hook, and then the case is pending. Okay, and then in the future, the person is being appointed as minister or re-elected as a senator.
Okay, you have just said this money goes back to Owambe.
Yes, that's it.
If I can use your language correctly. So will you say, which sectors will you say these reforms are mostly affected in the country?
Is it food security?
Yes, it's
insecurity.
The food and security, because it has only increased the purchasing power of investors. Because when you come in with your FX, you get more naira, and it has reduced the purchasing power of Nigerians.
The locals.
I can't even imagine in my whole life that I will have to buy bread as much as 3,000 or 4,000 naira per loaf.
Mr. AGBOOLA, do you know that even with all those things we are saying, people are complaining of food scarcity, insecurity in the country, it's not there. And I just want us to digress a little. We'll come back to this topic. You can, if you're following the internet, you can see that a lot of governance, they are defecting from their party, either PDP or other party, to the APC, looking fully what's happening, knowing fully what's happening in the economy, and people are still defecting. And a particular government says that he defected from his party to APC because he can see the good works that our president is doing. Take a look at the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Express Road that the government is doing, the president is doing a lot of things. And the citizens, Nigerians, they will come out and tell you that, there's food scarcity, there's food insecurity, no security in the country, you know, we are suffering and this. And some persons with all this, some governance, they're still defecting. Let's just throw more light about that.
Okay, Mercy, I'm going to add to your question.
Okay.
Mercy haven't said and brought in the Calabar Coastal Road. She has just asked them a brilliant question. But quickly, I need to ask this one so that you could just answer and respond to the two together.
Yes. Do
you think the monies that are being put in the Calabar Coastal Road should have been used for a better thing in Nigeria?
Yeah.
For the Coastal Road, let me start with that. First, I need to congratulate the president for commissioning 30 kilometers of the 700-kilometer road, and then for also making 18 kilometers of the road usable. It is quite laughable. Coastal Road is actually almost 2 decades old plan. It has been in the pipeline for quite a long time. Now there is flaw from the beginning. The award of the contract,
okay,
the standard of the road, and then the crisis surrounding it, you know, demolitions, compensations, and all that. That is inevitable. But along the line, there were diversions. Now, in developed countries, areas where they have demolished can actually be avoided. In the area of, you know, lifting it a bit, going underground. We've seen roads in Western world, you know, where there are infrastructure, they go underground or go overhead. Be that as it may, coastal road is not the only road that requires attention. There are thousands of roads in Nigeria that is in existence, causing economic hardship, causing a lot of pain for Nigerians. That needs repairs as well.
Okay.
Now, back to your question of defection. Then we'll now have to revert back to value.
Yes.
Now,
Okay.
I as AGBOOLA, I decided to contest under APGA or PDP. There are other candidates. People, my constituents, my voters, put that value on me because I represent a particular party. It is that value that they voted for.
Okay.
Most times, you know, the person contesting contributes a particular percentage in decision for vote. And a larger percentage of it is the platform which you are contesting for, which is the value that people put on you. Now, you win this election and then you decide to disobey your integrity, disobey your value, because during campaign you have campaigned against this party as being bad, as being evil, as being corrupt.
Exactly.
So you now, for one reason or the other, you now put that value and integrity into the bin, and you come back and say something else. That person doesn't deserve to be trusted in the future.
Wow. Okay, quickly, Mercy, I know you want to ask him a question. You just brought up defection. Okay, so the Bayelsa State governor now has resigned from PDP. He hasn't said he's defecting to any party, but people are saying he has just lost his job. How true is this? Legally, is that true? Will that happen in this country?
No, it cannot happen except the establishment, the government is interested in that position. That is when that law will be enforced to ensure that if you win election on a particular platform, if you defect, you lose that position.
Okay. Okay.
You understand? Because they own the courts.
Interesting. Mr. AGBOOLA, what alternative economic reform strategies could Nigeria adopt to prioritize poverty reduction and inclusive growth while maintaining economic stability?
It's just one thing.
So what's it?
Deal with corruption. Jail looters. Prosecute. You see, look, now, if you go through budgets every year, monies are allocated for better life for the people. How are these monies implemented? Now, the worst of it is the healthcare and security. You know, huge monies are being allocated for security to protect human lives, people that contribute to the economy of the nation, and somebody just puts that in the pocket. Look at healthcare. The masses struggle to get treated in government hospital. The government officials cannot even use the hospitals as we speak.
Imagining our president, ex-president.
Even leave the past president, our current financial minister.
Where
is he?
He's been flown to
so
the UK.
What happened to Asokoro Hospital?
Gwagwalada General Hospital.
Yes, what happened to that? Why can't that be used? So if our representative lose hope in our education and our healthcare, what do you expect us to do?
You know, I had a guest earlier some days back, and we were having a conversation. He said we as citizens, we need to learn to use our own facilities here, for example, like the hospital, because we talked about this during our ex-president's death. Buhari, you know, he didn't die in Nigeria, and he was like, okay, we need to start using ours. And I told him something. I was like, I want to ask you a question. If you have would you choose a Nigeria hospital if you have the means or the facility or the money to fly out of the country to get a proper treatment? Would you? He was like, yes, I'm going to choose Nigeria hospital. I'm like, I want to ask you, Mr. AGBOOLA, would you choose Nigerian facilities?
If you're buoyant enough to travel.
No. Look, it's a simple question. Now, I tell you, I have been traveling for over 2 decades, and I know what is obtainable out there. Now, I will tell you for a fact, the leading hospitals worldwide have been championed and headed, or major roles in these hospitals are being played by our Nigerian doctors. Imagine if we have a reform that gives them job security, enabling environment, and all that. They will be here because they will prefer to be here and impact their own people than, you know, live abroad. Yes, I will use here because all my kids, they have the privilege to travel and study abroad. They're all schooled here.
Yeah. And
government should also adopt that policy. If you're going to represent, if you are going to play any role in governance, you must use our hospital, you must use our education. Our schools. Not even private school, public schools. It boils down to governance. The government must do something about it. Yes, AGBOOLA ODUNFA, will patronize Nigeria.
Interesting.
Very interesting. We have
everywhere I go, I even promote Nigerian products.
So we're all proud to be Nigerians.
Yes. Not because we cannot afford it.
Okay.
But we need to tell them. Because when we are criticizing them, when they ask us, yes, I'll say, yes, I can do it, and I'm doing it.
Okay. We're coming back to IMF because that's a discussion for the day. Okay. If you could let us know, Mr. AGBOOLA, how have the poverty rates been? Has it been increased or decreased since the reforms were implemented?
People are getting poorer, like I said earlier. Even the IMF confirmed it.
Yeah.
And of course, the government will deny it. But we live with the people, we live among the people. And you can even take your statistics from the social media. When anything is being posted, irrespective of who posts it, just go through the comment section and now see what people are going through. Like, I go to the market like 4 times a week. I know what's happening there. I know how people groan. You know, even the traders, when they tell you prices, they add emotions to it because it is not even their choice to sell at that exorbitant price.
But the government says prices have come down. We had a very senior official from Lagos State who was here during the Nigeria at 65, who also told us that, I mean, she mentioned the prices of rice, prices of tomato, you know, she mentioned certain prices that had come down. But you are here saying you go to the market 4 times in a week and then you haven't seen any prices come down. Is that what you're saying?
Now, come down to what?
You know,
come down to, has it come down to what it was before this government take over? When you say come down, we should expatiate it or make it simple, because income have not increased. Why should I buy more than what I was buying 2-3 years ago?
Okay.
It makes me poorer.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I would love to ask this question, but you've answered it. How can we start restoring lost values in the community? You said corruption.
People want to see confidence in government.
Yeah.
When somebody is accused, you ensure. Don't just prosecute petty thieves alone.
So we need to tackle corruption first.
Corruption. Block that leakage. It's just like pouring water in baskets.
But do you think we would be able to tackle corruption in this country? Because the reason why I said this, somebody said, you go to other countries, you tell them you're Nigerian, the first thing that comes to their head is you people are corrupt, bad leaders, that they don't have good things. Of course, they're good things. They like our Afrobeat and the rest, agriculture and all of that. But they also have this thing about Nigerians that we are corrupt people. Are you sure corruption, we can take that thing off Nigeria in this country? That, okay, whenever they talk about Nigeria, they don't talk about corruption again.
Let me tell you, there is no country without level of corruption. As harsh as punishment is in China, we still have corrupt people. But it can be brought down to the barest minimum. it now boils down on who is leading the country.
Okay.
Corruption can be brought to bear.
Corruption can be brought to bear. Thank you so much, Mr. AGBOOLA, for your time. And thank you, Nigerians, for joining our Lagos Network studio on TMI this beautiful morning. This is all we've got. For you from Marcelina and Patricia from our Lagos Network studio, thank you so much once again for joining. And now we will be handing you over to our Benin Network studio for the continuation on TMI. Do stay.